Recently, I've been started to read about lots of philosophic books since I've got this Kobo, and currently I'm reading this one, which is The Law of Human Nature from Robert Greene. Now, thanks to the electrical device, now it's very easy to get a lot of books from all over the place, especially the public domain one. And there is another book that I want to read, and I did read the introduction of it, which is the book. Hang on a second, I'm going to show you. It's a fantastic book and Pulitzer Prize winner. It's about death, and the book is, I believe, there you go, The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. Now, in The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker, in the introduction, what I've learned is that he was a professor, but with a very particular character, and he has a particular style. He had a particular style, and he did die very early due to cancer. And the book is just before his death. He actually couldn't see the actual physical book printed, if I understood the introduction part of it. And most of the book was written on his deathbed. And I'm not going to give you any spoiler of that particular book, but it's going to change your life. It's already got my attention just by the introduction of it. So I wonder what is waiting for me when I continue to read this book any further. Now, in his book, he did use another philosopher, which called the Sigmund Freud, or I'm going to spell it out for you, which is Sigmund, and Freud is Freud. It's important that I spell it out loud because of my accent, or I probably not spelling it out loud clearly. Now, that book, he had a particular book that is highly recommended to read. So I finished that book because it's not that big, it's smaller. But another one of the biggest philosophic book that I've ever read in my life, which called The Unlocking the Power of Dream. The name of the book is The Interpretation of Dream, where actually talks about unlocking the power of dreams. And what I do every time I read a book, which is I try my best to take notes. Trust me, it's easy to say that being done, but I try. And then when it's small as book as this one, I try to kind of make a summary out of it. Not just for myself, but for anybody who wants to read my blog. Now, I'm not going to put my blog post link in this video because I find it kind of intrusive. It's going to find its own way somewhere else in the world of internet. I'm not going to use this YouTube video in order to promote my blog. That's a whole different project. Now, I'm going to read it out loud. That summary. It's not very big. It's small as possible. I imagine myself that people wants to read something these days in just one page possible, just to get the idea of it, so that it allows them to read further. Now, I started with the introduction. In that book, I tried to make it as dramatic as possible so that it sounds very interesting and serious. There you go. The dreams have always been a fascinating subject for human, and throughout the history, people have tried to understand their meaning and significance. Now, that I can relate to it. Every time my mom, when I was young, every time she had a dream at certain time of the day, especially end of the day before the sunrise, she used to say, "Hey, I had this dream and I think it's gonna happen because it happened at that time of the day before I got up, before the sunrise." So for her, if you say it out loud about that dream or a nightmare, it's not going to happen. Particularly if it's a bad one. So she had to say it out loud. If that was a good one, and then she wouldn't say it. She just said that I had a good dream. But there is another interesting thing. There's one dream that she had once, that in the village, in her dream there was a cobra next to a big tree, and for her, that because we are Hindu, seeing a snake such as cobra meant something to her. So what kind of meaning that was, I don't know. I don't remember. But she said that it could be something beautiful about to happen, or we're probably going to avoid a big tragedy or something like that. So I remember that, so I can really relate to that phrase. In the book, Sigmund Freud's book, The Interpretation of Dream, was published in 1899, revolutionized the study of dreams and paved the way for the development of psychoanalysis. So in this post, we will explore the key lessons we can learn from his book and his work, and how can we apply it in our daily life. So it's pretty simple. What I try to do is to kind of write down what is the outcome of that book, what can we learn and apply in our daily life. So the lesson one that I think it's necessary is that dream as a window into the subconscious mind. What does it mean? So according to Freud, dreams are a manifestation of our subconscious thoughts and desires. Dreams often contain symbols and imagery that represent our deepest fear, desire, and conflicts, which we may not be aware of in our waking life, but by analyzing our dream, we can gain insight into our subconscious mind and understand the underlying motivation that drive our behavior. So clearly, for example, these days it's not going very well at my work, and I do have some kind of problem with my boss. That's a different story. However, when I sleep, I do have some kind of dream that the problem that I'm having in the real life it's solved in my dream. I found a way out of it. Or worst case scenario, worst thing happened, I got fired, and I kind of have this detailed imagination of how it did happen. And sometime I'm not going to lie, like as a human nature, we do have vengeance. Like we wish that, why this guy did that to me? I wish that happened. And in the dream, it did happen. So clearly, he said that as he said, literally, dreams are often contains the symbol and the imagery that represent our deepest fear, desires, and conflicts. Now, the lesson number 2, the importance of dream analysis. Now, what I wrote is that Freud believed that dreams have a specific structure and meaning that can be the word that I've wrote, which is actually I used a Google translation to make it serious. I used the word deciphered through analysis. Deciphered meaning that you can cultivate from that analysis. You can get the idea from that analysis. By paying attention to the details of our dreams and interpreting the symbols and imagery they contain, we can uncover important insights about our thoughts and emotions. Dream analysis can help us better understand our fears, anxieties, and desires, and provide a roadmap for personal growth and self-discovery. So I literally just explained the phrase that deciphered through analysis. First of all, I have no idea why I used it, but I thought when I was writing it that I think I should change certain word to make it look so serious, sound serious, because you're gonna read it out loud in your brain. But then I thought that maybe I should expand it out so that people with a bad vocabulary like mine can understand what I try to say. Essentially simple. In the dream can give you a lot of answers about yourself. Dream can also says a lot about yourself. Dream can give you, if you analyze enough your dreams or your nightmares, you can know a lot about yourself that in the real life you probably had some sort of denial. Like, think about it. I mean, when I was reading the book, The Law of Human Nature, of the book of Robert Greene, he says that's more or less the same thing, that we are all biased and we are kind of have some sort of narcissistic behavior. In fact, we do have all the good and bad behavior in our life as a human nature. What makes us different and what makes us a better person, that not by eliminating our bad nature, it's just impossible. What can be done is to understand those bad behavior, bad character, and tell ourselves that don't do that because it's not good for people. It doesn't make you a bad person. Like, for example, I have greed. I want more money. I sincerely do want more money. I'm not going to lie right now. However, I also tell myself that absolutely the money is important, and I dream about being rich, as he said, and my dream says that I do have greediness. However, does it mean that I'm a bad person? No. That helps me understand, reanalyze about myself, and then give me an answer. Answer is simple, is that I rather have a guarantee of making minimum income so that I can provide for my family and for myself, and then can do certain pleasure, then have a heaps amount of money and do all kind of bad things to have those money, like drilling drugs, that can be stealing from people, that can be doing harm to other in order to gain money. Now, that is not sustainable for the long time. It makes me a bad person. However, my greediness should be in a good direction, in a sense that I should work really hard to make sure that my minimum salary, that enough to provide my family and for myself, it should continue. So that's just one of the analyses that I've done reading from this book. And lesson number 3, the role of childhood experience. Now, what does that mean? The Freud believed that our dreams are influenced by our childhood experience, especially the unresolved conflicts and traumas that we may have experienced. By analyzing our dream, we can gain insight into the unconscious pattern and belief that we have developed based on our childhood experience. Understanding those patterns can help us overcome negative beliefs and behaviors and develop a more positive outlook on life. Simple. We don't have a beautiful childhood in our life. Sometimes we do have bad traumas that can be being bullied in the school, that can be violated by some bad human, that can be having parents that at the time the parent didn't want to harm you or anyway, but you felt that you've been ignored, or you feel violated because of their action. And I personally do believe that a lot of the bad deed by the parents are not intentional. However, they do impact your psychology, and they imprint in your brain. And then when you grow as an adult, they do come back to yourself as a form of dream, which has nothing to do with your childhood memory, but has some kind of relationship to it. That's just a brief analysis from me, who is not an expert in this field, but that's my point of view. Now, lesson number 4, the power of unconscious mind. The Freud believed that the unconscious mind plays a powerful role in shaping our behavior and emotion. By accessing our unconscious mind through dream analysis, we can understand the hidden motivation and beliefs that drive our action. This can help us break free from negative pattern and behavior and develop a more authentic and fulfilling life. Then again, unconscious mind, that's interesting. I mean, I'm not going to analyze this phrase. I'll let you have your own interpretation, but I found a similarity in the book by Robert Greene, The Law of Human Nature, where he analyzed about narcissistic behavior. And he says that a lot of our action, narcissists don't know that they are narcissists because it just so much in the subconscious, unconscious mind that they don't even know that they are doing such thing which can be described as narcissistic actions. So I also recommend you to read that book about how we are all some way narcissist and how we know about it in order to develop ourselves to be a better person. I had to finish this phrase with that simple sentence because I think I'm running out of words. Now, lesson number 5. Let's not forget about this video about applying Freudian theory in real life. While dream analysis is an essential part of Freudian theory, we can apply many of his principles in our daily lives. By paying attention to our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, we can gain insight in our subconscious mind and understand the underlying motivation that drive our actions. We can also use dream analysis techniques to interpret our dreams and gain deeper insight into our thoughts and emotions. Again, it's more or less related to what I just said earlier. When you have a dream, maybe you should sit down after the next day and then kind of try to analyze that. Ask yourself a question: why I had that dream? Does it have something to do with the recent event of my life? If so, what? Or it has something to do with a character of mine, which I didn't know, and I believe that I don't have it, but actually I do have it. And if it's bad, if it's really bad, then what can I do about it? Should I talk to a professional? Should I read a book about it? Should I work on it? Etc., etc. Make sure that it does not impact your character and what you believe to be true, that you are a good person. Now, finally, that book, The Interpretation of Dream by Sigmund Freud, is a timeless work and provides valuable insight into human psyche. By studying Freud's theories and applying them to our daily lives, we can gain a deeper understanding of our thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Dream analysis can help us uncover our subconscious thoughts and desire and provide a roadmap for personal growth and self-discovery. Ultimately, by unlocking the power of our dream, we can develop a more authentic and fulfilling life. That's one hell of a book to read, and I'm going to think about it for quite a long time. And I'm going to let you write down your own point of view so that we can have a normal human discussion, not just me talking to a camera. And I really hope and wish to have those discussions with you folks like good old days when we used to have a book club and talk to people and discuss and then have an agreement, have a disagreement, and so on. So until the next book review, look after yourself. Hope everything is going well in your life. See you next time. Bye-bye.